Today's episode is brought to you by Inksighted. You brand you. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell.
Do y'all know what time it is? Do y'all really know what time it is? It's time to grab your popcorn, grab your best beverage. It's time to relax your ears. Wrestling season has returned. Yeah, that's right. And it's time for your main event. Coming down the aisle, we have the one, Bobby Wrestles. And he's accompanied by the beautiful Mia Moore. This is the main event. Welcome to the All About Wrestling Podcast.
Cheers to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 230 days away from WrestleMania in Philadelphia. And might I add, records have been set. This is the most income generated from a WrestleMania in the history of WWE. Good afternoon, Fandito, Superfan Johnny, in the chat, Ellie Underdown, hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a story today. We have a show. Folks, we're talking about Cash Wheeler, who has recently been charged with ag assault. I'd love to get your thoughts about it. Also, I'd like to know who your most hated wrestler is. This goes back. I have two lists here. I have a list, all-time most hated wrestlers from Bleacher Report, and I have the most hated wrestlers in current time. I will say both lists they're controversial, okay? The current list, I believe that there are wrestlers in certain spots that should be interchanged. However, I'd like to get your opinion about it. So welcome on this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday, and I'm back. Mia Moore, the seductive, beautiful Mia Moore is somewhere in the building, okay? I will not promise to you that she'll show up. However, the possibility remains. She may grace us with her presence. She is the star of the show. And of course, I'm the brains. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to talk about Wrestling Online Report. All right. You may have seen this story on social media. MJF. Now, I will say before I jump right into it that MJF has grown. All right. He's outspoken, but he's matured in a sense. So much so that he's come to the defense of one of our own, Cash Wheeler. AEW World Champion MJF has jumped to the defense of Cash Wheeler of FTR. He wrote, "We all make mistakes," regarding his aggravated assault with a firearm charge. He states, kind of disappointed how many dorks there are on this app, he's talking about X, formerly known as Twitter, that jump to conclusions so quickly. A ton of people's privilege is showing. We're all human. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes. Take it from a guy who's made more mistakes than most. Very good point. MJF added that he had his ups and downs with FTR, but Cash Wheeler is a great dude and a badass. MJF and FTR were part of the Pinnacle a few years ago. Remember that? You're getting FTR versus Young Bucks in front of 80,000 plus on August 27th. He continued. Talk about that, you dweebs. So how about that? And of course, this comes way of Colin Vassallo of Wrestling Online. In other news, AEW All In surpasses WrestleMania 32's actual attendance. According to ticket tracking service at WrestleTix, AEW's All In pay-per-view has now distributed more tickets than there were people inside the AT&T Stadium for WrestleMania 32. which held the record of the highest attended wrestling event, All In, now stands at 80,846 tickets, beating out WrestleMania 32, which according to Arlington Police had 80,709. So a little bit over 100. WWE announced an attendance of 101,000 for that show in 2016. That's what they announced. The 80,846 figure is not the paid number, as that is slightly less. The gate for All In will be in excess of $10 million, which is a record for AEW. WrestleMania 32 with higher prices pooled and $17.3 million in gate revenue. Wow. That is amazing. Gecko's Tom, is this podcast about AEW Fight Forever as well? It can be. It can be. We'll have the phone lines open a little bit later if you want to talk about that. I did not get the game, so maybe you have some expertise in that area. And lastly, Edge tells Toronto crowd it was his last match in the city. All right, if you saw SmackDown, following his match on SmackDown against Sheamus, Edge thanked the crowd and told them that this would be the last time they would see him wrestle there. Hint, hint. I don't think I can make it another forum to get here for another match. I'm just being honest with you, Edge said, but don't let that be a downer, because, man, what an experience you all gave me. I will never forget. And when I'm 84 years old and don't remember much, you're damn sure I'm going to remember this. The Rated R superstar stopped short of announcing his official retirement, but said that after sitting home and licking his wounds, he will discuss the subject with his family and see what they want him to do. But what I can say, Toronto, is thank you. Thank you for being the city that I have always been proud to represent, that I've always been proud to be announced from, and I came out here in full on Maple Leafs gear, pandering to all of you, he continued. His match against Sheamus was the last one on his current WWE contract, and it's unknown if he will sign a new one. All right, folks, this is the Wrestling Online Report. And for your own report on a daily basis, make sure you go to wrestling-online.com and click newsletter up in the top. You're going to be prompted to join this group. Click there and enter your email address. And once you do this, folks, you will get a daily dose of Wrestling Online reports. How you guys feeling? Folks, there's a lot to unpack in that story with Edge and this potentially being his last match. I just uploaded a short a few hours ago with regard to Collision, AEW Collision, which aired yesterday, in which Jim Ross mentioned Edge on TV as Christian was entering the ring. And he stated that he signed Christian and Edge at the same time. There's a lot of speculation regarding Edge potentially showing up at Wembley Stadium next Sunday. I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's something to think about, and it's something that we can dream of. All right. Ellie Underdown, to be honest, we need a UK Rev Pro OTT LPW ICW Super Show at 15,000 plus arena. That would be something. That would really be something. And Superfan Johnny was there at Collision last night in Kentucky. Oh man, I wish I was there. Superfan, are you coming to Philadelphia for WrestleMania, bro? That would be awesome. That would be awesome. All right, folks. I wanna talk about this Cash Wheeler situation. Now, the story broke when I was on live stream 2 days ago. And Akash SP, who was in the chat room, he shared that information. And we didn't know what to think. We didn't know exactly what happened. We do know that the incident took place a while ago. However, he was arrested a few days ago. I have the affidavit right here. If you are unfamiliar with exactly what has taken place, I'll get right into it. All right, so this is courtesy of F4W Online, and I'll read this in full. All right, so the incident happened July 27th, all right, at 9:59, and this is 0959, so I'm assuming AM in military time. All right. And this is a statement from Officer Boway of the Orlando Police Department. He responded to the address, which is redacted, in reference to an aggravated assault with a firearm call. Upon my arrival, I spoke to the victim, of course, the name's redacted, who provided me with a sworn, written/verbal statement that stated the following. The victim stated so we know it's a guy, was driving west on Interstate 4 north of exit 83 in Orlando. He noticed a Jeep Gladiator weaving in and out of traffic, honking its horn, so he moved over to the far right lane to let the Jeep pass. The victim said the Jeep took the right shoulder to drive around him on the passenger side of his vehicle. The victim looked over and noticed a white male with a beard pointing a black semi-automatic HG out of the driver's window at him with a strong stare. All right, so we can all assume that perhaps he's alluding to, this male was Cash Wheeler. All right. The victim stated he feared for his life at this time, stated he slowed down to get out of the way of the firearm and ended up behind the suspect's vehicle at this time. At this time, both were committed to exit 83. The victim took pictures of the Jeep as it turned right onto College Park Drive and began to drive reckless. The victim said the Jeep bared Florida tag. I'm not going to state the tag here. After taking the picture, the victim said he called 911 and gave the vehicle information to dispatch, the details of what occurred. He explained he could not be late for work and asked an officer to meet him at his job. All right. So they did a photo array, and of course, Cash Wheeler was picked out of the lineup. All right. So it says the suspect was later identified as Daniel M. Wheeler. I guess that's Cash Wheeler's government name. He's got his date of birth. And he was pointed out with 100% certainty of the victim. So there we have it. All right. So I'm not going to say that this happened. These are all allegations and speculation from the statement of a victim or a complainant. All right. These are very serious charges, in my opinion. All right. I did not know it was this serious, or that it was this direct, where you have someone actually stating that this happened and I fear for my life. It's a lot to unpack here. Superfan says Cash Wheeler will still be at All In. He's just been arrested. Dak seems the more level-headed member. All right, well, he seems. We don't know if this really happened. Perhaps it did. We don't know what happened before it either. Okay, because apparently according to the victim, the vehicle was swerving left and right behind him and kind of ended up, catching up to the vehicle or the complainant in this case. Will this match take place? The majority of you think it will. There was no official announcement on Collision last night with regard to the match being canceled. And who would want this match to be canceled? This match has the potential to being the greatest match on the card. So, I mean, if from a business standpoint, if I was Tony Khan, I would want this match to take place. I'm sure you would too. It's really crazy. It's really, really crazy. This is a very serious allegation. And if this did happen, this will stain the reputation of Cash Wheeler. But who knows? I mean, we saw MJF come to the defense of Cash Wheeler. But I mean, put yourself in a situation of the victim. If you were the victim, how would you feel if this happened? Ellie says, if true, Wheeler's a douche for this. Someone he knew died, Jay Briscoe, in a car crash last year. Let's think about that for a second. That's a great point. Great point. This could have been catastrophic. If the victim ended up crashing, overturning, this could have been devastating for everybody involved if that's the case. And they did track him for his license plate. Yeah. I mean, the license plate was given to the police officers. They did a search through the state, I'm guessing, the state DMV, and lo and behold, it came back to Cash Wheeler. It's really a serious situation. Put yourself in the shoes of Cash Wheeler. We all have done things, and, you know, I'm not stating that he did this. You know, he's alleged to have done this by some complainant. We don't know the name of the complainant. But let's say somebody was blaming you for something like this. How would you feel? If you did it or if you didn't do it, how would you feel? Professional on TV once or twice a week with potentially one of the greatest matches in your career on the line. Ellie says he looked Jay's kids in their eyes and then did this. Ellie, I think you're very passionate about this subject, as you should be, as anyone should be. Someone could have died if there was some type of accident with the complainant, as they stated, feared for their lives and may have sped up. Who knows? Who knows how this could have happened? But then we also must take into effect that if this was done, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, and I'm trying to be fair here, Cash Wheeler, you know, maybe going through a lot. If someone's alleging him to have done this, and we don't know if he did or not. I mean, we have the affidavit. We understand why the police arrested him. But I'm not going to sit here and you know, and make claims, because this is still an ongoing situation. And Ellie says, if they had photo evidence confirm my license plate, then photo ID me, I probably own up, to be honest. Well, yeah, if you did it, you don't want to be in more hot water. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just one of them things. It's just one of those things. All right, so we're going to get back to the story. I do want you guys to think about who your most hated wrestler is. All right. I have a list here. I have the top 10 most hated wrestlers of all time, and this is according to Bleacher Report. And I have the current most hated wrestlers, and this is from thesportster.com. All right, but before we get into that, I want to talk about this date in wrestling. All right, folks. So this day in wrestling, all right, in 1995, IWA Japan presented the Kawasaki Dream event in Kawasaki. The match featured the infamous King of the Death match tournament. The final saw Cactus Jack defeat Terry Funk in no ropes, exploding barbed wire, exploding ring time bomb match. How ridiculous would that have been if I witnessed it? I didn't see it. But we all know Terry Funk is a hardcore legend, as well as Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. Also, 2001, Monday Night Raw played host to Austin Appreciation Night. Remember that? As the Alliance paid tribute to their leader, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The party was ruined when Kurt Angle drove a milk truck to ringside and doused the group in dairy. And lastly, in 2006, on this day, WWE SummerSlam took place at the TD Banknorth Garden Arena in Boston, Massachusetts. In the main event, Edge retained the WWE Championship over John Cena. Several one-of-a-kind matches took place at the event. Listen to this. Listen to this star-studded lineup. Hulk Hogan went one-on-one against Randy Orton. Big Show versus Sabu. Ric Flair versus Mick Foley, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus Vince and Shane McMahon. So how about that? What a great card. Could you imagine? SummerSlam isn't the same. It's not like that anymore. All right. So let's get into these most hated wrestlers. Who's your most hated wrestler? I'm going to make a lot of angry viewers right now because I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this all-time list. The all-time list isn't as bad as the current list. All right, and I'll get into this. All right, Ellie Underdown. Before we get into that, King of Deathmatch was first VHS. Oh, VHS. I got when I started tape trading. When WWF mentioned it on Raw years later, I was only one of my friends to have seen it. Pre-internet days. You are a hardcore wrestling fan, Ellie. Hardcore. All right. So let's get to this Bleacher Report all-time list. All right, number 10. John Cena. Number 10. All right, we can all respect that. John Cena, remember, being forced down our throats. Is he great? Yes, he's great. I'm not going to sit here and hate. You all know how I feel about John Cena. Number 9, Killer Kowalski. 8, CM Punk. 7, Mad Dog Vachon. 6, Roddy Piper. 5, Hollywood Hogan. Now I can relate. When the NWO first formed, they were hated. They sent shockwaves to the wrestling community. And then they became the most loved group ever for a long time. Number 4, Nikolai Volkov. Number 3, Buddy Rogers. Number 2, The Iron Sheik. And number one, I just did a show with someone that may be connected to this individual. Number 1, Sergeant Slaughter. Now, let me unpack this because Sergeant Slaughter, I remember being a kid and I remember how patriotic Americans were. You had Sergeant Slaughter and you had, the whole international battle, and Sergeant Slaughter just had a war of words on social media with Lacey Evans for a character in which most believed she was imitating Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter. A lot of people didn't like Lacey Evans. She was hated as well. Hated for that, perhaps. Hated because she had a piss poor attitude. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just thought provoking here. Let's mentally massage this. All right. Sergeant Slaughter was hated for his character, and so was Lacey Evans. Why was there so much hate on the part of Sergeant Slaughter? Did Sergeant Slaughter think that he would have become forgotten because somebody else in the current time, in the current era, had a character similar to his? Ellie says Lacey Evans, an actual vet. How about that? She's an actual vet who actually served in times of war. And I mentioned this on a previous episode. So how can you hate someone like that? I know everybody has their opinions. I mean, we're all wrestle fans. But I'm non-fickle Bobby. Okay? I try to be as objective as possible. And I thought it was crazy. I thought it was weak. I thought it was embarrassing. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was foolish. And his character did turn into an Iraq sympathizer. And I can understand that's probably why he's number 1, because the all-time list takes into account how the fans used to feel in the times, whatever generations, what was going on. So the all-time list is completely, I think it's much better than this current list. The current list, all right, now, there's a lot of people that should be on this list, but I think the order in which they're on the list is a bit twisted. All right. All right. So the current list, according to Sportster, states number 10, Baron Corbin. Okay. I'm fine with that. Number 9, and this is completely subjective, and I understand why. Number 9, and they're hating this person, Ridge Holland. And of course, we all know why. Ridge Holland was responsible for Big E breaking his neck. And he's got a lot of threats. He's got a lot of hate in reference to that. And of course, we know as wrestling fans, accidents happen that could change the course of our lives and our careers. Number 8, which I don't agree with this, Karrion Kross. He's a heel. Number 7, Solo Sikoa. And I think the reason for this was that he had some type of responsibility in preventing Edge from winning the championship. So I think that's why he got a lot of hate. Number 6, Omos. Number 5, and this is connected again, Lacey Evans. Okay, so this is the current list. Lacey Evans, number 5. Number 4, and I think should be number 1 because I'm a huge fan of kayfabe and storylines, and I'm a huge supporter of what the fans want and off of fan emotion and fan reaction. Number 4, Dominic Mysterio. I think he should be number 1. Number 3, which I don't agree with, Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is one of those bad guys that we all love. You know what I mean? Like the NWO. It became cool to like the NWO because they did something different. And Roman Reigns is just completely different. He's on another level. I'm just saying. He's the modern day Hulk Hogan. If you're familiar with how Hulk Hogan was back then. All right? He can't be beaten. Some of these comments are interesting. Yes, Ridge did apologize to Big E. But we're fans. Wrestling fans are so unfair. Let's keep it real. Wrestling fans are some of the most unfair people you will ever meet. It's just the way it is. Number 2, Austin Theory. I believe Austin Theory should be in the top 5, as well as Baron Corbin. That's just my opinion. My opinion. Number 1. Can you guess who number 1 is? Think about it. Think about current wrestlers. Think about women. Think about women wrestlers. Think about big women wrestlers. Think about, I understand why this person is number 1. It's a woman. But I think a lot of it has to do with their personality. Them personally, not just in the ring. I'll wait for it. Guys, girls, please. Who do you think number 1 most hated wrestler is according to the current list of Sportster? You don't know, huh? Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. All right. The number 1 most hated wrestler of current time, according to Sportster, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey. And being fair, I will say that Ronda Rousey has improved in the ring. But where the hate comes from is from what we all perceive that Ronda may have a bad, piss poor attitude. It's just the way it is. She's always been cocky, always had a chip on her shoulder. Can we fault her for it? I don't know. She was created to be unstoppable, number 1, breaking records until she lost. We've seen this play out many, many times again. This story never changes. The only thing changes is the individual. We've seen this with Mike Tyson. We've seen this before. Ellie says, not Potato Uso? Who's Potato Uso? Yep, Ronda. What's next for Ronda? How do you guys feel about the match with her and the Queen of Spades? I will say the Queen of Spades, her wrestling ability has transcended Ronda's. This is definitely her sport, not Ronda's. I think this was a match that needed more build to it. Happened quickly. We did want to see them pair up. We saw that. But I think there could have been more substance given their history and their relationship in real life. Ronda is probably gone for now. Come on. As a businessman, would I rehire Ronda in the future? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. All right, so who's your most hated wrestler? If I had to pick my most hated wrestler in current times, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Baron Corbin is very talented professionally. I just don't like the fact that everything was handed to him. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like being force-fed with Baron Corbin. I didn't like being force-fed with John Cena. You all know why I feel that way. But Baron Corbin, true heel, very great at being a heel. He's got my respect in that department. But I think he should be number one, or Dominic Mysterio. I think Austin Theory is somewhere in the top 5. Rich Holland should be taken off this list. I think that's just completely disrespectful. Ellie says, wrestling broke an ex-UFC fighter and the Olympic medalist had her crying in the kitchen. It's true. It's true. But before we go, I do wanna give my last thoughts on Cash Wheeler. This is a very serious charge. All right, we are days away from the biggest event that AEW has ever hosted. An event where some seem to believe that Edge might show up. If, and let's talk future. This is a hypothetical. Let's say that hypothetically, somewhere in the future, Cash Wheeler is charged and found guilty with ag assault. This is going to come back and haunt AEW, the fact that they allowed him to wrestle. Never mind the legal ramifications, knowing that he has every right to and he can. But we're wrestling fans, and wrestling fans does not let anything pass. They're going to piggyback this, Monday morning quarterback it, and talk about the fact that this guy wrestled on the biggest cash cow AEW has ever had when he should have been taken down. My thought, very serious allegation, and I hope it's not true. Eliana down, Potato Uso equals Nia Jax. Wow. Now I get it. I'm not saying that I agree. I'm saying Potato Uso. That's so ridiculous. Yeah, this would be bad for AW, Tony Khan. I mean, great event. I'm looking forward to it. I just want to see if Edge is going to show up. I want to see Wembley Stadium with a wrestling ring in it. So, any last thoughts, guys, before we get out of here? If you didn't catch it last time, Mia Moore has a new entrance song, a new entrance theme. I'll play it for you guys. She's not here. I don't want to get anybody hopes up. I'll play it. All right. And then she would have been sitting there. Don't worry. I won't be getting sued. I paid tons of money for that. But folks, I'm having fun. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see you back, Ellie. I love your opinion. Very, very, very wrestling minded. And of course, our moderator, the one and only Fandito. You can catch him on the Nice Guy Andy podcast. All right. Along with Leon Lexington, Nice Guy Andy, and Sean Johns, the walking encyclopedia, folks. And also, make sure you check out Tantalizing Tony of the Tantalizing Tony Show. Catch him on YouTube. He does live streams as well. And I have to change the Twitter logo. It's now X, so forgive me. But there you have it. Folks, we are 230 days away from WrestleMania in Philadelphia, where I get to fulfill my boyhood dream. Remember that? All right, folks. Catch you guys next time. Thanks for joining in.